Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much. Um, yes, I think you know what the problem is that Pakistan um, has never been like a sovereign country. United first, we were a British colony, and Britain ruled over us. And then after independence, when we became so-called sovereign country, then instead of becoming sovereign, I think we got two masters. United Kingdom was already there, and we added the United States. So we've got two masters now, and with the passage of time, the number of masters are increasing. Even small countries that you can't expect them to be dictating things to Pakistan. Even those very small countries are dictating Pakistan's policies. So we are very unfortunate because our leadership is responsible for this because they have um, succumbed to this pressure from UK and USA that all Pakistani, prime ministers and all the ministers on important positions and even the chief of the army staff, they are appointed from Washington. And also England is also very much involved in Pakistan's affairs, and they're also controlling many political parties, and they give asylum to many of the Pakistani politicians and the separatists. Um, Unfortunately, this is how the country has been run for the last 75 years. When Imran Khan came, I had lots of hopes from him, and I thought that he was going to try and bring about a change uh, because he seems very upright and he talks like an equal with foreign dignitaries and foreign leaders. But I was very disappointed because for the 3.5 years that he was in power, uh, I mean, his policies were exactly the same as the previous governments. And I think both he and Bajwa, that is why they were both on one page, because for the last 3.5 years, both General Bajwa and Imran Khan were, I think, pursuing US and UK interests quite strongly. And I was very disappointed because I expected him to be a bit different. I mean, he did all the things that previous governments had done. He took Pakistan to the IMF, and then when the IMF wanted the state bank to be made so-called autonomous, which was not actually autonomous, it was giving the state bank through the IMF and through the IMF to the United States. I mean, we were very, very disappointed when the government, which included both in PTI government and the establishment, they were they played a very important role in getting the state bank handed over to the IMF. And then if you look at Imran Khan's policies on in Afghanistan and Kashmir, they were no different from the policies of other people, other Pakistani leadership and General Bajwa. So I think that to say that he's anti, US and UK domination of Pakistan. I think that is not true. Uh, but what happened was that for the last 3.5 years, after he and General Bajwa served Western interests, towards the very end, when he was losing grip over power, then what happened was that he made trips to China and Russia. And then he was trying to show off his, sort of not exactly leftist, but his credentials that he was pro Russia and pro China, and that is why he was shown the door. But I think the reason was that there was a lot of acrimony between Trump, the previous American president, and Joe Biden, the present American president. And it ended up very badly. You remember what happened on the 6th of January when Trump was refusing to accept the new presidency. And earlier than that, Imran Khan and Narendra Modi, they both had visited the United States and they had tried to lend support to Trump's, candidacy, his presidential, they were trying to support him as the president of the United States during the election. So when Trump didn't make it, and when Joe Biden became the president, I think he kept this grudge against Imran Khan. And that is why I feel that although the narrative that Imran Khan is, his narrative is absolutely correct, that we have been totally subjugated by the US and UK. And I've been fighting against this, this domination and subjugation for the last almost 30 years. But I think in Imran Khan's case, I think it has less to do with Pakistan's subjugation, but it has more to do with the standoff between Trump and Joe Biden, which unfortunately led to a standoff between Imran Khan and Joe Biden. So I think that was the main reason why, yeah. Uh, yes, certainly. You see, the press leadership is also a leadership that has been tried and tested, and they have totally failed because they have been ruling Pakistan for the last, so many years, the 1990s and afterwards also. So they are tried, tested, and failed people. They are totally corrupt. They have a lot of cases, corruption cases pending against them. The cases were going on, but unfortunately, even the NAB and I think the judiciary haven't played the role that the people of Pakistan expected them to make. And unfortunately, the establishment also under General Bajwa, I think as long as Pakistani politicians, even if they are corrupt, if the establishment is able to have a good rapport with them, then they are turned into Mr. Cleans, that they are not corrupt anymore because I think the establishment is finding it easy to get on with them. So that is why we have a corrupt government sitting here, which has no right to be sitting here, which has cases pending against it. But because of Imran Khan's, the way he governed the country and the way he, his policies, both economic, political, and strategic policies, I think these people tried to stage a comeback. Now, the people of Pakistan are very unfortunate because if you look at the leadership, whether it is the present leadership or the past leadership, I think they have not delivered. And even our institutions have not delivered. They haven't done their homework. They have not, brought the corruption cases to their logical end. And that is why we have a lot of corrupt people sitting in the government and also in the previous government. So I think unless we do something, I think what we need to do, and now there is a lot of clamor by all the politicians, most of PTI that there should be elections, immediate elections. Now, my problem is that if elections are held immediately, then the problem is that we have a lot of corrupt people sitting, aspiring to come back to power. So how will we, I mean, are we just going to waste our money and, cause so much instability and then bring in the same corrupt people? I mean, you see, we are in this very, very difficult situation. And I don't think the establishment is really mm, sort of, trying to resolve the problems, because as long as you get along well with the establishment, at least with General Bajwa, then you're brought back to power, even no matter how corrupt you are. So I think that you can understand the kind of difficult situation that we are in, that all these people, yeah. Okay. You see, I think the major way to get around this problem is that we need to have a national government which is composed of patriotic Pakistanis, which is composed of Pakistanis which have Pakistani nationality only. They are not dual nationals, and that they are not corrupt. There are no corruption cases against them. So we need honest, patriotic, and competent Pakistanis to form a national government. And this national government should try very honestly um, to nab all these people, all the politicians, and all the people in the corridors of power whose names are tainted. They need to be brought to, they need to be prosecuted, and we need a NAB which is very impartial, which is honest, and which is not being used to, for witch hunting. So we need these institutions, and we need a judiciary which will stand by, and try to nab the people who are corrupt rather than.
什么